Hey guys, so first of all, I hope you are doing well today. I've been a huge fan of Gabe Lee ever since last year. I reviewed his debut album Farmland a while back, or at least what feels like a while back, and I just reviewed his brand new album Honky Tonk Hell in my most recent video. So the other day, I reached out to Gabe and was like, I'm a huge fan. Can I talk to you on my YouTube channel? And he was like, sure. So we got to chat, and it was really exciting for me because I'm new to the whole interview thing, and this is my first time interviewing someone over the internet across time zones since I'm in California and he's in Tennessee. So it was a lot of fun. I got to learn a lot, actually. We talked about his songwriting process and how his songs come together. We talk about why he has so many songs about women and his relationship to the country music genre. And he gave me some good music recommendations. I have been listening to Wilco and Bright Eyes today. Also, I literally knew this would happen, but after the interview, I started watching the Tiger King documentary series on Netflix, and now I'm hooked. So I maybe a little bit blame Gabe for that. Stay tuned to the end because he plays a song. I'm not going to tell you yet what song it is because I want to keep it a mystery, and you will see. For all you watching out there, if you haven't already, I urge you to go listen to both of his albums. And without further ado, enjoy the interview.
How have the past few weeks been for you? I imagine it must have been crazy, like releasing an album, but then not expecting it to be in the middle of a crazy pandemic.
Yeah, we really didn't see that one coming. As far as Nashville, we are currently we're doing the shelter-in-place thing, and folks are, I think, trying to fight the urge and try to have this self-control and patience to consider this a threat to everyone, even though they aren't personally, affected. In the aftermath of the tornado and the storm earlier this month, there's definitely a bit of tension, but it's a good community, and a lot of it ends up having to be a decision, I think, made by federal and state governments in this whole thing that the entire world is dealing with, and we're just gonna have to learn, I think. But as far as the record itself, we've had a great response to it. We should be on the road right now. We're going to go to Texas first, then we're going to go through East Tennessee, through the North Carolina Tri-Cities area, because we have friends in that part of the states, and then we're going to go up to New York for a couple of days and do some cool networking stuff. So that all has pretty much been postponed for the fall. Fingers crossed. And I'm just one of many touring musicians that have really just had to sit back, be patient, and take the opportunity to approach creativity from another direction. In a lot of ways, you think about it, people are stuck at home, and they're going to eat music up and eat media up, and like Tiger King, like where did that come from? Have you seen
I
it?
have not. It showed up on my Netflix, but I was like, oh, I don't know if I have time for this right now. Have you?
It's ridiculous, but I didn't think I would enjoy it, and I realized that I was totally wrong. So
See, that's the thing. I feel like I'm gonna start watching it and I'm gonna get like sucked in. So
are you where are you?
I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area in Northern California. So we're also in a shelter-in-place situation right now. I feel really lucky because I have a job that allows me to work from home. So I am still able to, do everything that I do normally from home. And I have a lot of hobbies that I'm still able to do from home. So I feel really lucky for that. I think it's been really cool that I feel like people are getting more creative with the internet, and artists are doing all these live streams, and it's something that obviously existed before, but something that I never personally partook in. And I've been just like watching so many artist live streams, and I think it's really awesome to have that medium where an artist can broadcast to like so many people anywhere in the world at the same time. And Yeah, I think that's really cool. I've been taking so many more video calls with friends, and it's something I never did before either.
I did my first Zoom hangout with like 5 of my high school buddies the other day, and it was fun. I mean, the funny thing about it was these aren't folks who are in Nashville. These are all folks who the only way for me to see them would be to video chat anyways. And I think a lot of people have gravitated towards using the extra time to reconnect, to check in on folks who they haven't spoken to in a while and who they might owe a phone call to.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the there's good and bad with everything, I think, and I think it makes it a little easier if you know how to recognize the little bits of good when there's a shit ton of wrong going on.
Mm-hmm. Farmland came out last year. I fell in love with it. I was listening to it today too, and I was like, it's so good. And at what point after creating that album did you know you wanted to create a second album?
The songs from Farmland had been in my notes for some of them for like 4 or 5 years before I decided and had the opportunity to cut them and put them on a record. And then by the time we had finished the record and put it out and started promoting it a little bit, we realized that this might work. Folks gravitated towards the songwriting and had felt a connection in the sound and the storytelling. So by having like a full album basically ready to go when I met my current manager and buddy and mentor Alex Torres, it gave me, I guess, a cushion. So while we were recording and then through the process of putting out Farmland and promoting it, I as a songwriter, luckily I've been pretty inspired throughout that time until now. So I've been able to write pretty consistently, and in that process be able to have another full record within a year. And we just have this amazing setup in Nashville, Farmland Studios. The namesake of the record is an awesome place, and we have pretty much everything we need there. It's just a little home studio. It's not like a mega $1 million operation. We just have great musicians and we know what we're shooting for. And it's really all about teamwork and love there. So we're able to go in there and cut something like Honky Tonk Hell in like 4 sessions. So that really expedites the process. But I think the songs themselves, the songs just unmask and present themselves in a lot of ways. There's not a lot there's not really a choice that I make when I'm sitting down writing songs, at least not for Honky Tonk Hell, that I was like, oh, I need for the record to sound like this, or there's a direction that this is going that I wanna alter. It was more about just having fun with it, and taking enthusiasm to the songwriting. I think Farmland was not only because of the instrumentation, but also the content. I mean, it was very driven by heavily by the themes of heartbreak and sorrow and regret, and some of that on Honky Tonk Hell. But it's a little more joyous, which yeah, like I said, brings a lot more fun and entertainment value. And I think the trickiest part is maintaining, I guess, the storytelling in it, keeping a level of language that isn't just pop, country, pop, or rock. So we had a lot of fun with it. I'll tell you that. And then the process kind of starts over. I mean, in another year, we hope to have a couple more side projects and maybe another record. So we're my manager, he wants me to focus on my writing so much. He's so experienced that he understands that the songwriting is the most important part of it. So I still work like 3 jobs to pay rent, and to buy dog food for my pets. But I think that's part of the inspiration. Is part of the story. I think the record itself discusses relationships and love. Sometimes in romantic jargon, but not. It doesn't have to be the relationship between two significant others. It could be a relationship to from an individual to a community, or a relationship between someone's beliefs and someone's faith and tradition, or someone's willpower versus addiction. All these things that share relationships. Uh, I think is fun when you. I guess just naturally uh, like to frame it in terms of love, because that's very accessible to so many people. The thing with, like, the girls' names, people are always like, you got so many girls, and I'm like, that's actually not the case in my personal life. But the girls, I don't think, and I bring this up because the girls' names seem very personal. But I would say, what I always say to folks is that the emotions behind the song are real, and then the facts might be fictionalized. So the girls' names aren't just are just one girl, but at the same time are all the girls, and besides, and then and that they're not necessarily just women or about a romantic relationship. They're about things that I think I've wronged or left behind or just let down, and trying to repair that, or just having, or just something that I love and have had fun with. And I think the girls' names, they each have, by now, I mean, there's probably like 6 or 7 songs with women's names, and they they each have their own character, which is kind of fun.
I'm curious, like, how those names come to you.
I think it's really about when I'm songwriting and playing with melody and playing with words and rhyme. It really depends on the message I'm getting across, and I guess a lot of times I'm like, if I'm writing, I'm just either on the piano or the guitar, and I'm just like babbling. I'm just playing with sounds, not even really constructing sentences or even real words. Just kind of humming and scatting in a lot of ways. And when a name comes across, like Susanna, it's like in the song I like scream Susanna, and that high A vowel allows me to hit that note, and it's like very high energy and it's very powerful. But then a name like Emmy Lou, which is really soft and round and warm and sweet, like it matched perfectly with the piano, because the song is very tender. And then Eveline, Eveline was, I rewrote that song a handful of, not that I rewrote that song specifically, but I've been using the name Eveline for a while, and I was messing around with how to do it. At one point I had a song named Eveline that was actually very upbeat, but it was just a draft, and I never liked it enough. And then when this one came around, when this final write came around for Eveline, it just fit perfectly. So as a writer, you constantly have, and not just in songwriting, I mean, I think in all art and in all language, you have, if you're creating, you have little ideas that bounce around in the back of your head. And as a songwriter specifically, I basically have a shit ton of music and words and melody that is constantly just floating around back there. And sometimes one will come out that really means something to me, and I'll just take it and run with it. At any point in time, I would say I have about 4 or 5 songs that I'm actively working on. I'll sit down and I'll pull it up on the computer, on the phone, and be like, all right, I need to hit this one, see how it turns out. But I've got to say, I mean, I've been writing songs since I was in high school. I grew up with some close friends that are all musicians and aren't professional songwriters by any means, but they love creating, and they love. We used to have like rap battles. They're very quick on their feet, and they love language, and they love uh, you know everything that has to do with the narrative. So you know we would constantly write around each other all the time, and I just wanted to be better. I just wanted to show folks that I could write a song that had a beginning, a middle, and end, and have a great melody and harmony and all that part. If you're pursuing songwriting in Nashville, where some folks sit down, some folks have like a publishing deal, and they sit down every day. They're like, all right, I need 2 songs today or 3 songs today because I need to turn in 10 good songs to my publisher by the end of the week, or I'm not going to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of mindset is what creates this pipeline of the Nashville country music scene. I don't know that it's my approach to it at all, and I don't even know that it's that healthy for a songwriter, for any creative, to really push themselves like that. I mean, I understand pushing yourself, but that's sort of like that's like a cop meeting his quota,
Yeah.
Always get recycled too. I think that's a big thing that you realize when you start to get an idea of your style and how you deliver songs and how your songs come together. There's so many times when I have this hook, this idea that I love and I want to use. I know I want to use, but I've just put all this fluff around it in a song. I've got the hook in the chorus. It's great. I've got these 3 words that are so catchy, and it just rolls off the tongue. It's great. But the rest of the song is just superfluous, and until it all comes together, I won't be happy with it. So a lot of times I'll just chuck those, even songs that have really good ideas, I'll just let them sit on the back burner, ignore them, and then usually the best ideas will resurface.
Mm-hmm.
In a completely different, unexpected way, but that's the beauty of it.
I'm also curious where you see genre-wise your music now, because I mean, Honky Tonk Hell, it falls into so many different genres, which I think is really cool. But is it country? Is it Americana? Is it folk or bluegrass? And does that even matter to you?
Genre is super important. I mean, but and most genres most genres make sense. Country is just one of those that because of the way the industry has just has skyrocketed because of pop music and the presentation of pop music. You find, that's my dog shaking. You find that old country from 20 years ago sounds nothing like country right now, and that's confusing because that's rarely the case in any other genre. So it's weird to say Willie Nelson is country and then in the same genre as Florida Georgia Line, and it feels wrong. And I think that the record itself, the fun part of it was that because of the amazing musicians we had, we were able to sort of show that maybe one genre, maybe one genre, one label is not necessary is not, you don't have to have one genre to encompass all the stuff that's on one record or by one songwriter. That was exemplified when we had, the bluegrass situation, pick up a piece of your heart. We had Billboard, which definitely leans to a more commercial, sense, picking up Heartbreaker's Smile. We had Wide Open Country and a couple others, and it was definitely, a mix of backgrounds that gravitated towards the record. So that was a lot of fun to see happen. I just read somewhere one of our favorite Rolling Stone writers, Marissa Moss. If you don't follow her, you should. She's awesome. I think she's based out of Nashville. She just posted on her Twitter and a Spotify, I think made an announcement about.
Oh, the Indigo playlist?
Yeah, Indigo playlist.
Yeah, I just saw that today too.
That sounds awesome, and that sounds like the beginning of something new. That kind of feels like, you know, when I don't know if you ever listened to Jeff Tweedy and Wilco, but it's incredible. I'll need to send you some stuff. But you know, Wilco has this great folk background, and then these amazing musicians that it's basically a rock band. And in the late 90s and then early 2000s, they basically introduced like alternative rock and Americana, that sort of fusion. They were definitely the precursors to what is now Americana, and they were masters at it. And you couldn't really, you would listen to the record and say, I don't know where this belongs, but there's steel and there's strings, and then there's rock songs, and then there's jazzier songs. So I don't worry too much about the genre, but I definitely had a conversation with my manager last week saying about label promotion, and I was saying, well, I don't know that we should encapsulate ourselves strictly within the country realm. And he completely agreed. He said, yeah, I mean, this is clearly this is broader than just country. And on the other hand, you have to think about the fact that country right now is dominated by your Blake Shelton, by your Dustin Lynch, it's Kelsey Ballerini. Those, I mean, the powerhouses right now at the top of pop country is just like insane to think about competing with.
Yeah.
but they, that's where they live, that's where they reside, and that's what they've become, or country music has become that. So I'm part of I guess this group of folks that like the Tyler Childers, like the Jason Isbells, that are inspired by old country and old sounds and storytelling, and just doing our best to honor that.
I think the country music genre debate is super interesting, and I've built my YouTube channel around the idea of country music, but it's interesting because, as you said, country music encompasses so many different things. Like, you have the super pop country, and then you get indie country that has a more authentic sound. And I feel like that's the stuff that I've been covering more. Like your music, I love Tyler Childers, the stuff with more substance and storytelling. But at the same time, I became a country fan through pop country. Like, that was my gateway. Like, I did not discover country music until I started listening to the radio in high school, and I was listening to Blake Shelton and Georgia Line and I don't know, Luke Bryan, and that was like my gateway into this world of country. So it's almost like, because I came into this world through that gateway, I like want to keep it open. I read a statistic somewhere that we develop the music we like based on the music we listen to like in our teenage years. Like, what you listen to when you're like 13 through 17 becomes like the music you end up liking for the rest of your life.
I think back, I mean, 13, man, I was a shithead. I was. Have you heard of Warped Tour?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like pop punk bands,
Uh-huh.
like hardcore bands. I had a little bit of that phase, which was a lot of fun. This is like Taking Back Sunday. I don't know if you've heard of them, but it's actually amazing songwriting. It's super emo, but so I guess that's like that was like going right into high school. Is like I was listening to that kind of crap, which is still like, it's still amazing music going back and listening. It's very catchy. It I think what about that, and like, have you heard of Bright Eyes or Connor Oberst?
No.
Oh my God, I need to send you so many things to listen to. Bright Eyes was also part of this like folk emo. Think of like Rustin Kelly.
Oh yeah.
But like before Rustin Kelly ever thought about writing songs, like this is a gem basically of music for the Bright Eyes. Back, I'm Wide Awake. It's Morning is the name of the record. I'll definitely send you a note on it. But that and like some of these, I guess sort of, you call them emo bands. When you're in middle school, high school, like you're feeling rebellious, right?
I feel like so many of my friends are like, I went through an emo phase when I was a teenager, and I'm like, that's so crazy to imagine.
Not everyone can be as happy and joyful as you, Christine. But no, so the thing about the emo music, right? And the charm for me, and again, this is like 13-year-old Gabe, is the transfer of emotions, really, really raw and conflicted emotions into like these awesome rock songs. And then for Bright Eyes, this band led by Connor Oberst, it was the same thing except presented with like an acoustic guitar and a very sparse backing band. So that kind of music, when I first heard it, I was like, wow, I didn't know that this existed, that this was possible, because the feelings resonated so deeply with me, and then so did the music, and that was like a discovery for sure. Moving on from that, I mean, in high school I was listening to a weird mix. I was listening to like Leonard Skinner, which is funny because it's not weird if you're a kid from the South, but it's weird coming from the mouth of an Asian kid. Leonard Skinner basically would fly the Confederate flag everywhere they went, and I don't think that they had bad intentions or ill will. They were just a bunch of Southern boys with long hair, and they were like a Southern like hair metal band. They just loved to rock, and I listened. I wore their records out, for every day in high school, and then I was also listening to that band Wilco that I talked to you about. Jeff Tweedy is one of the best songwriters of his generation, and then I was listening to random like alt rock bands and stuff. I think the most influential thing that I was listening to, though, which was a constant in my life, was church music, was gospel music, and Bill Monroe, like bluegrass gospel, because again, it took something that had a deeper message and put it in music that resonated with me, not simply just the message. I'm not extremely religious, but bluegrass gospel really gets me every single time. And that, along with just being in church, my mom played piano in the church, so we were there like twice a week. Church hymns and all that, like you learn to sing harmonies. I was in the church choir, and that along with the classical music built a foundation for just, I guess, style. For me, the country music resonates so strongly because it basically started as like bluegrass gospel, like birthed modern country music. That the instrumentation of bluegrass and early folk music, banjo, guitar, upright bass, violin, mandolin, or not violin, fiddle, sorry. All that was shaping, Carter Family. If you've heard of the Carter Family.
Yeah, I'm actually in the process of, have you seen the Ken Burns country music documentary?
Only one episode. I need to keep watching. Yeah.
Yeah, one of my goals is to rewatch it actually over this period of time. I watched it when it first came out, and it was incredible because I feel like it just put everything into perspective of like how everything's all connected in history. And I only recently started listening to bluegrass over the past couple of years when I started learning the banjo, and I was like, okay, bluegrass sounds so different than like pop country on the radio. Like, how are these even connected? And it turns out they come from the same place.
You should, if you haven't, you should listen to the Steel Drivers.
Yeah, I have been.
They were with Chris Stapleton. They had one of my favorite records of all time. I think it was self-titled. And then, obviously he went solo.
Yeah, I love Chris Stapleton.
So it's so special. What he does with his voice. And that's another part of the country that I think a level that I want to reach too is just the soul of the songwriting and the soul of the delivery of the not only the vocals but also the instrument and the chords. Um, that's the soul is something that basically pop music doesn't quite have. It's there's hints of it. Depending on the singer. But when you mix when you infuse uh, that sort of depth, and I guess it's really hard to explain, but it's like a warmth, about the music. It makes you feel good,
Yeah.
and that's like this uh, that's like this it's an intangible, and you just have to love it enough and recognize when it's there enough, I guess, to work it into the music. So yeah, I definitely try to write with soul. I mean, Chris Stapleton, one of the biggest influences for me vocally. Also St. Paul and the Broken Bones is this like amazing I think they're from Alabama. They're this amazing like gospel rock band, but they're not gospel. They're not Christian by any means. The lead singer grew up in a gospel church, but they're really something else. They have this like amazing horn section. It's like if Sam Cooke was reborn. And then Ratliff from the Nathaniel Ratliff and the Night Sweats. I mean, his voice is also extremely soulful. When I heard these guys, I was like, man, I need to, if I could improve myself and train my voice to sing anything like that, I would be a much better songwriter. And that's kind of how it started, is being inspired by that. And I'm working on it every day. I listen back to Honky Tonk Hell and I'm like, shit, like, I wish I'd resung that, or I wish I'd fixed that. And I think most artists do that. But uh, I think I am making strides. I'm taking the quarantine pretty seriously, and I've been glued to my guitar basically the whole time.
Something that I really like about your music is just how expressive you are with the emotions and the way you sing.
I've I've tackled a lot of different emotions. Just through living, and uh, in my personal life, I keep my emotions held pretty well in check. So I guess that's really where my love for songwriting comes, because it allows me to say things that, or really delve into thoughts and feelings, good or bad, that when I'm out and about, or with my friends, I don't necessarily show. And I think most songwriters, have that little like closet in the back of their head where they stuff all their crap, and they open it up once in a while to sort of see what comes out, and see if it can be a muse. And I'm just grateful that I mean, I've I've been inspired, and that that I've stayed inspired. Just hopefully, my buddies and I joke that for every time you get your heart broken, you get like 10 good songs. For me it's only been like 1.5 times. So I'm on a pretty good track record.
Thank you so much for doing this and hopping on here. And it was really fun to chat with you. I love your music. I'm so excited to see where you go from here.
When I think, I don't know how I first saw it. I think you might have sent it to me, your Farmland review, and I was pretty impressed because, just because you went through song by song, and I was like, wow, she really took her time with, like sitting with each and every one of these songs, because there's a lot in all of those. And so we were excited when you came back and did a Honky Tonk Hell review, because yeah, I mean, I like again, like I said to you, I like the way that you approach sort of dissecting these songs. I've only, been presenting my songs, my original songs, out for a year or two. Since Farmland came out was really the debut. And when you see bloggers and music magazines writing about your work, it can be uh, it can be weird. I mean, everyone's honestly been like extremely welcoming and nice, for the most part. But like, and I love criticism. So I wish people would talk more shit. But it's it's cool. It's cool when you see someone that that gets it or has a very interesting take on it, because uh, songs like Eveline, which is what I think I'm gonna play, there's a lot in it that is just like I just like threw like an illustration out there, and then like closed it and then went with it and then threw another one out there, and it's not like a trail of breadcrumbs. It's not like, oh, this is how the story started, and then I went to point B and C and D, and then I ended here. It's more like, we're gonna start in the middle of the alphabet, and then we're gonna go all the way to the beginning, and then we're gonna go all the way to the end, and you're gonna have no idea where you are. So, I think it's funny when people come in and write or review the music, because I love to see all their different takes on it. And it's fun. Maybe the next record will be just complete nonsense, and I'll see.
And see like what theory I come up with.
All right, Eveline. Wheels of fortune, the way we ride, Arizona, and better times, gambler skin, suit and tie, going under, stay alive. If I'd have known by now what it cost to give everything and take a loss, well, I'd have wished and I'd have prayed and rolled the dice. Eveline. All the way down Santa Fe, ain't queer, ain't it? Oh, said you came and pulled me over, stole the keys, killed the end, my cheek. I'd have known by now how to be, that life was more than rust and gasoline. Hand me the keys, honey. Hand me the keys. I'll give you a ride. Eveline. Eveline. Richland, Walmart, Frankie's Pawn, ain't stopped snowing since you're gone. Store-bought envy gets you high. It keeps you sober. The homemade wine. If I'd have known by now I was wrong, that you were on my mind all along. Well, I would have never run, never tried to leave, or made you want to cry. Eveline, 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 Eveline.
Yay.
All right.
Thanks so much, Gabe.
It was a blast.
100 miles across the
Need
board.
to send you some music.
Yeah, please do. I can't wait.
St. Maria,
All right. Take care.
Frisco Bay. Big old stack of leather Bibles.